it may be a little bit abstract in different parts, and you don't even really have to understand kind of as it goes the whole story because there's so much that can tie together with what you already know. For example, the Sovereign Mother, we can assume that's Tara, has broken down the nine yanas, including Anu Yoga, Maha Yoga, Charya, Yoga, Yana, and Kriya Yoga, Bodhisattva Yana, Shravaka Yana, and Pratyeka Buddha Yana. So really went through all of these. And then there's many dimensions to the allegory itself, which is quite interesting. Those of you who are getting more used to the Tripitaka, the way this Dharma weaves together, you'll notice the three kayas in here, talking about the three manifestations of wisdom, basically. And I think as you align with presence, your Nirmanakaya kind of aligns with your Sambhogakaya, which aligns with the Dharmakaya, conventionally speaking. And it's like a sun ray that can finally just be part of the sun rather than being distorted and kind of assuming itself to be something other than the sun. There's a self-harmonization, self-resolution that happens with approaches like Dzogchen. And really, if you can manage to trust the nature of your mind, then familiarize with that until you're really stabilized, which is that Dzogchen Shamatha. Then there's that self-resolution. You enter a kind of stream of nirvana, actually. And it can be quite sneaky. You don't even know that things are liberating because this nature of your mind permeates all experience down to DNA and subtle cognitive aspects of our mind that otherwise may go unnoticed. Also distortions to the lucidity of our mind. Remember, if you consider the 8 consciousnesses, the alaya vijnan is being seeded constantly. That's how right now, all of us, we have these memories. Where do they come from? It's a kind of basis, the base consciousness, where there's a pool of all our self-constructing and our ideas, constructs, beliefs, things that we hide deep in our mind are in the alaya vijnan. And is constantly kind of informing itself in a cycle. So the great thing about the nature of mind is that it permeates the alaya vijnan and is kind of self-resolving any distortions there, which is really cool. If we can manage to trust, and I think sincerity, diligence, gentle discipline, patience, these great perfections that they speak of in the Bodhisattva Yana, they are useful when it comes down to embracing the awareness practice. So even if you don't follow all the nuances of how she broke down the 9 yanas and how she's breaking down the 3 kayas and the 3 different ways that we can learn the Dharma, for example, with Nirmanakaya, somebody may be teaching you concepts physically right in front of you. Sambhogakaya, you may be getting an intuition from a teacher, like some kind of underlying teaching, right? Those are very common in the Dharma. You feel like in the presence of a great Lama, and then all of a sudden you feel like some stuff has been cleared. And then Anu Yoga with the Tsalung, the Yantra Yoga, where you're using winds and channels. This is kind of mixing then. It goes from the so-called physical to the psychic, because you're you're working with those psychic winds and everything. And so you're starting to venture into Sambhogakaya when you work with your mind, when you start to um, relieve your mind of distortions. That's relieving your Sambhogakaya. But those intuitive Sambhogakaya teachings can come from different teachers. I think they could probably come from books and stuff too, actually. And they can come in ineffable ways. We can't really put our finger on Sambhogakaya teachings. And Dharmakaya teachings is the basis for all teachings. So it's very difficult to express that. What is a Dharmakaya teaching? That's I'm probably safer if I don't go there. So that's a little bit of a summary of where we're at here. And it'll start with the teacher's three manifestations emanating from me are the same with regard to cause and to result, and are of one own being. Okay, so they're the same with regard to cause and to result. The cause, that is the mind of perfect purity, is one with everything. The result, that is the Buddhahood, is also one with everything. You see here, so just like what I was mentioning, the Dharmakaya is kind of the source of all of it, just like the sun is the source of heat and the source of luminosity. So it's all always going to be like if you get a Nirmanakaya teaching from a truly realized being, you're going to get a teaching from all three every time. Your Sambhogakaya teachers, that's basically like your Lama may be teaching you sometimes when you don't know it, or you may hear the Lama in your head sometimes, things like that, to even see the Lama. Uh, and I would consider having a vision, for example, of a great master. That's probably like a Sambhogakaya teaching. So this is declared as the own being of reality, the one actuating being. The right time for disciplining was not divided into earlier and later. Such she spoke. Yeah, and you could pull a lot from that. It's basically talking about how wisdom and compassion will manifest in timeless ways. That's a whole nother video, probably. Oh, great Bodhisattva, listen further. Now the ways of promulgation, as practiced by the teacher's three forms of manifestation that emanate from me, be all creating one. The teacher's truth manifestation promulgates the teaching by means of blessing. Is it promulgates? Right? Promulgation. Promulgation. Like that? Maybe somebody can. Or promulgates. I always want to get it right. Hold on. I know how to spell it. Probably don't know how to pronounce it.
Promulgate.
Promulgate. Okay, so it's prom and oh, okay. It's broken into three syllables like that. Like we're going to prom with this word. All right, promulgate. Sounds like a exotic vegetable. I'm gonna eat some promulgates. All right. So okay. Okay. Thanks everybody. So the teacher's truth manifestation promulgates the teaching by means of blessing. And by the way, in case you're like me, always learning new words and stuff, this means to promote. So they couldn't say promote. They're gonna say, but it seems like it's related to promoting. So the teacher's truth manifestation promotes the teaching by means of blessing. Would make sense as well. I suppose that's a more elegant word. I'm not sure, but it's always nice to learn. So the manifestations of perfect joy promulgate the teaching by means of their own actuating being. The corporal manifestations teach those persons who are able to hear the word and the meaning of the Dharma by integrating the word with the meaning. Now, the promulgation of the Dharma by means of blessing, by the truth manifestation, all created things are taught to be my own being. Although unborn and the wonder of Genesis, all things which appear and exist as animated and inanimated come forth as a miracle of my compassion and actuating being. So, there it's also kind of talking about, to me at least, it inspires the idea of the blessings, what they call the blessings in Vajrayana and many schools of Dharma, is that self harmonization that we don't see when things are being freed up. Our conceptual mind can't really um, grab that, make sense of it, because it's all happening on a very non conceptual level, so to speak. This is where trust and faith comes in. Trust and faith in your previous recognition. And if you're noticing self liberation in your life, then definitely you have evidence there, and you have a reason you can trust now that more self liberation will take hold, even when you're confused and feeling lost. If you're truly on the path of Dzogchen, then you have many lineages with you and a lot of kind of mind power with you that's on your side. You're no longer abandoned. You're definitely not spiritually abandoned in Dzogchen, because anybody can come to this path, and it really seems like you're taken in by the awakened ones. I know this may get a little mystical on you, but it feels that way. And so these blessings, it's like things are getting liberated. Things that used to torture us or bother us really badly. Um, you may wake up one morning and they're just gone, and that's what's considered the blessing. Or you may notice something fantastic happens in your life, a kind of miraculous change. Shifts and things like that are quite possible when you're on this path. And I would even venture to say they can become abundant. Okay, so now the promulgation by the manifestations of perfect communal joy by means of their own actuating being, all things which appear in whatever form are taught to be perfect, insofar as they are pleasurable sensory objects for which one may feel desire as form, sound, smell, taste, and touch. This I teach as the promulgation by means of my actuating being. And to me, this is highly kind of encoded, but actuating being, remember, is always referring to the nature, the cognizant, the Sambhogakaya. So when you come into your wisdom mind, when that energy body, that subtle energy body, that wisdom body is allowed to be undistorted, your heart mind is allowed to be, then there's nothing wrong with enjoying the sense world. Then it's seen as a display of the mind. And we actually, for some of the people who have grown up with quite a lot of suffering, or have experienced a lot of suffering, that's actually good news for them. And it should be good news for a lot of people in the Buddha Dharma, that you can actually enjoy this world and it's okay. There doesn't have to be attachment there, or reification or conceptualization or any of that. You can live in the pure presence of your mind. So the promulgation by the corporal manifestation by means of the integration of words and meaning, at this stage it is not appropriate to teach all things which appear and exist in whatever way as the teacher's actuating being, because what is called teacher is in a peculiar way the creation of one's own desires. Means of the integration of words and meanings. Wow. This goes, in my opinion, goes pretty deep here. It talks about how things are manifesting in your world to teach you, to bring you home to your natural state, to bring you back to it. Um, if we stray away from it, there's bound to be something which brings us back, and it could be our deepest darkness, our deepest desires that end up becoming the teachers. Very interesting passage here. So the corporal manifestations promulgate the meaning of the teaching through the sound of words and letters, and due to this activity, the disciples understand the meaning by means of words and letters. This is the meaning explained through words and letters. So probably referring to the scriptures there. You typically have the oral transmission lineage, the symbolic indication transmission lineage, and the scriptural transmission lineage. Uh, I'm not sure where Terma falls in that. I imagine it's the scriptural. It has aspects of all three in Vajrayana. For example, if you look at Dakini script and all kinds of symbology, iconography, you'll find liberation through symbols. They have this thing called liberation upon seeing, for example. That if you lay your eyes on this Dakini script, then within a certain amount of lifetimes you will be liberated. So it's that serious. Compared to ancient mystery schools like the Freemasons, they primarily rely on symbols to talk to the mind, to untie knots in the consciousness. And this goes pretty deep with all kinds of different symbols. And then some of those symbols are encouraged socially. We see them matched with colors to create a whole uh, wordless presentation there of the mind. For example, if you see some logo doesn't have a single word on it, but it has shapes and colors, it's still speaking to you. And this is kind of another dimension of how the teachings would roll as well, symbolic indication lineages. And then, of course, oral is never writing it down. That's how the Dharma originally started. And they still, to this day, in the monasteries, memorize great deals of texts from the time they're children in the Tibetan monasteries, that the ones that are still alive. And you probably know what the scriptural transmission is. Okay, so, oh, great Bodhisattva, listen. I, the all creating sovereign, am actuating the three forms of manifestation. Without reflection, mitok, just existing in balance, I am actuating the truth manifestation as non conceptual. Looks like Rorah. The wonder of Genesis, which comes from my own being, this is the manifestation of perfect joy as the origin of desires which are fulfilled by disciplining in whatever way by means of compassion. This is also the actuation of the corporal manifestation, Nirmanakaya. The all-creating sovereign, through the three forms of her nature, i.e., the three forms of manifestation, causes teachers to appear in bodily form to discipline by whatever method is suitable. And we've seen so many methods in the Dharma, right? The 84,000 teachings, along with endless yogic practices and many, many endless skillful means that teachers use to help people be free. A lot of the good teachers, like Tulku Organ Rinpoche, are said to never give up on anybody. Like they will stay. Tulku was known for just staying with people until they truly got it, and he made sure they got it. And without teachers like that, I don't know how I'd feel, because I'm like that. I'm really persistent, and I felt like for a while like I'm hard-headed because I don't give up on people, even if they're giving up on themselves. As long as they're connected to me, I feel like, well, I'm going to continue to do whatever I can. And it was really good to hear that other teachers are like that. And then the world is actually, the Dharma in general is like that. It's very persistent in bringing us back to our wisdom. So although the nature of the teaching is inexpressible in its meaning, the meaning is expressed in whatever way is suitable. This is called the perfect teaching. Yeah, so basically you can express the Dharma in any way as long as you get through. You can speak gibberish to somebody. So the nature of the retinues is that those apt for unity will become the firstborns in the Buddha families. After they have been united, this is called the perfect retinue. I am the teacher, the all-creating one, the mind of perfect purity, the all-creating one, but is known in her three aspects, nampa sum. I, the all-creating, my own being, and the things created by me, these are the three aspects. I am the teacher, the all-creating one, the progenitor of everything. My nature is taught in terms of 10 characteristics. They are declared as the essential vigor of all the teaching. I, the all-creating, have made all and everything. The Buddhas dwell in the three times as one, and without discrimination they make all the sentient beings living in the threefold world their noble retinue. This really reminds me of, you know, those of you in the Mo Sangha here or watching on YouTube, if you're at that stage where you can meditate with your eyes open, go out in nature if you can, to a park or mountain, forest, something. Even in your house, you can do this. Just really include the whole world into your meditation. We typically feel like we're here and the world is there, but the world is actually in your mind. All the wars, the happy things, the sad things, the politics, it's all in your mind right here first. And that's what I would address first and foremost, the stuff that's here in my mind. And that's quite powerful because when you relax into your natural state and open-hearted compassion, then you're relaxing the whole world because you are a part of this whole world, obviously, even on the elemental level. Okay. And then you can consider those things like, what is it, the butterfly effect? Or I probably got that wrong again. But basically, how everything ripples. Well, I think the same goes for stillness. Stillness can also be kind of into the collective. So when you rest in stillness, you're not like separate from the collective somehow. I want to say it's affecting the collective, but I don't want to talk in terms of cause and effect or get too conceptual about that. So because the one, the all-creating one, has made everything in perfect manner, for this same reason, all the mind's needs are perfected by the all-creating one. Whatever amount of needs and what kind of needs there are, it is said that I, the all-creating one, perfectly fulfill them. And remember, you may look at your life and think, well, my needs aren't being met, but on a subtle level, they probably absolutely are. We got to consider that there's a whole subtle intelligence to all this. If our thinking mind was in control of everything, holy crap, it'd be a mess. I mean, we already make a mess with our thinking mind. But there's something, that's why it's very important for us to start to come into our lucid mind and also find our naturalness there, because that's what's really tied into this reality. But then even deeper than that, you come into the Dharmakaya, and then everything's kind of able to harmonize from the source up, so to speak. So the teacher's own being is taught under three aspects. Tempe Rangshin Nampasum. manifestation of the truth, manifestations of pristine awareness, and manifestations of compassion. See, there you have the three kayas, and you have the three aspects of your mind, she. Teacher's own being is taught under three aspects. So that can basically say she, the basis of mind, has the manifestation of truth, Dharmakaya, manifestation of pristine awareness, Sambhogakaya, and compassion, which is all appearances, the energy of your mind. Now, remember, when you get pointing out, you're pointed to awareness, and we hinge on awareness because awareness permeates all manifestations. And so that's why we kind of use the nature. Right there, you have the three aspects. You have essence, the truth, nature, which is the pristine awareness, and then the responsiveness, the display of your mind, which is the compassion. So, under whatever forms the teacher in three manifestations disciplines, they are perfect. They perfect the retinues who abide in accord with themselves. I, the teacher of the teachers, the all-creating sovereign, show you my nature in its three aspects. As the first retinue, the teacher in her three manifestations arises. This is the unborn, pristine awareness, which is free of subject and object. Now remember, if I'm sitting here aware of this laptop right now, there's a part of my mind that holds all that. If I focus on this laptop right now, there's an awareness that knows I, focusing, laptop. So there's a trichotomy there, subject, action, object, trichotomy. Awareness permeates all three of those, doesn't it? So that's how that any sense of division, that divisive kind of that duality making, that subdividing, is within awareness, and it starts to soften, and you come into this wholeness, the fourth samaya of oneness. You start to really dissolve into that, so to speak. So, as the first retinue, the teacher in her truth manifestation arises. It is the miracle of Genesis, the all pure play. Looks like Lila. The manifestations of perfect joy arise, next from which the diverse desires, whatever they may be, come. In accordance with oneself, the teacher satisfies everyone. Then the various forms of corporal manifestations are known to come. Those who have gazed into the direction of what is known as the teacher in the three forms of manifestation, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and those who have achieved patience, Tsoglam and Yorlam, are united as the teacher's manifestations. In accordance with this, they dwell in their appropriate realms and teach the essential point. Lots we could go in, but we do want to make it through this text. The teaching's nature is such that it is an instruction given to the retinues by one of the three manifestations. So remember, every time she says manifestations, it's Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. And if you meet an authentic yogi who has realization, you'll be getting kind of all three of those at once. So, as to the retinues that need to be disciplined, one way or the other, the Buddha promulgates what is known as perfect in order to discipline and teach gods and humans of good karma in this world. The Buddhas of the three times who abide in the dimension of the truth manifestations, which is non-explicitly existing, teach all sentient beings living in the threefold world the non-conceptual mind of perfect purity by means of the truth manifestation. Yeah, and there, by the way, it says good karma. It usually that means favorable karmic circumstances. It's not necessarily limited to good and bad. You could have a lack of karma that could actually help you discover the path. So a lack of either good or bad karma. The manifestations of enjoyment dwelling in Akanishta in a state of pristine awareness explain to the bodhisattvas of the 10th stage the mind of perfect purity by means of their manifestation and their wisdom. The various undefined manifestations of Buddha's compassion also teach their retinues, those united in their pursuit of patience, the main points of disciplining by whatever unspecified methods they find suitable. For those of right circumstances, due to their pledges, and if not interfered by other circumstances, the time when my compassion becomes embodied has come. Join the retinues. I am going to teach. Join the retinues. I am going to teach. I teach the non-dual true meaning by three means, i.e., through the three manifestations. The accumulations of merit and wisdom will lead to perfecting the time, place, and nature in which the three manifestations proclaim the Dharma. The fully perfected teaching in its three aspects, i.e., the three jewels, is taught as being precious. They are explained as form, utterance, and spirit of me, the all-creating sovereign. So the three jewels are considered body, speech, and mind of the Dharmakaya. Very cool. The teacher, the precious Buddha, the jewel, is the manifestation of truth, the manifestation of enjoyment, and the corporal manifestation. Wow, that sentence right there, like you really, in 1992, I don't know if anybody would have been able to connect the dots on this, because like Buddha Shakyamuni is saying, Buddha Shakyamuni is the manifestation of Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. Yeah, that's just the surface of the point that she's making here, but there's lots of tie-ins to the Sutrayana here, which are quite interesting. So anyway, the best and precious promulgation of the teaching, the noble Dharma, is the three best promulgations as explained in what follows, of the inexplicable, all-creating one. As to the best Sangha, as part of the retinues, I shall give instructions on whatever they need. And you find that the three baskets are perfectly woven together. And it's almost like anytime they edit the sutras or add new sutras, they just don't weave in. They're not encoded. They don't speak the code. So you kind of tell that they're not part of the original three baskets, which seem almost cosmic in the way that, almost alien-like, the way they really tied together still to this day. I mean, even the Eightfold Path has a complete Dzogchen explanation to it, where right view is considered the awareness nature, and then intention comes after that. Right intention, just natural, comes from abiding in the view. And then speech, action, livelihood, effort, concentration, and wisdom, all following just abiding in awareness. So the Eightfold Path itself really means self-resolution and spontaneous presence. Okay, so I think we can stop there. Thank you so much, Yeshi. I really appreciate you, brother, for facilitating that. And I appreciate everyone and their presence, making this another wonderful session here.